Joey here is the Critical Missourian, where I talk about everyday life, about Missouri and beyond. Okay, this is just a commentary I have that's kind of been getting my goat. Is the fact that everyone that I know of that I can always remember, especially people that are older, they are always saying that they'd rather live in the time period that they grew up in instead of the modern period, but yet they don't try to keep open-minded and forward-thinking instead of being stuck in that time period. The thing is that everyone wants to hold on to that time period they grew up in. They have fond memories of that time period. All good and great. But the biggest problem that I see with this is mainly people get so stuck in one set time period that they end up getting left behind because they fail to advance forward and keep up with the times. Prime example is people who grew up in the prior to the 80s and 90s, mainly prior to the 90s. Many of them didn't grow up around a computer, so they had no idea how to operate one. And there's still quite a few that probably still don't. I don't have the statistics to say how many, what percentage, or whatever have you, but it's the cruel point is that at one time, computers were just office-based systems, just used for accounting, record keeping, keeping track of inventory, writing long letters or whatever. Those were what computers started off for, and over time, and especially the scientific community, that I forgot to add that they have their contributions to their usage of computers. Still, beyond the point. In the beginning of the computer age, that mainly what computers were mainly used for wasn't until mainly in the sometime around mid 80s, maybe not until, it wasn't until until Windows 3.1 came out, and by that time period, computers didn't have the power to really do a whole lot of gaming or have much use beyond office-based software or the likes. Still, that was it. The internet wasn't even around at that time period. That didn't came until much later, around the early to mid 80s. I'm sorry, correction. Early to mid 90s, the internet came out available. Anyhow, no one really had use a computer or much alone seen too many of them, except out of a business environment, like going to your local DMV or some maybe at a local business or something like that. They may have seen a computer, but computers at home didn't really become a real thing until about that time when the Windows 3.1 era started rolling around. That's when everybody started jumping on the bandwagon, because then they started playing, learning that they could play games. It really exploded. Computer usage really exploded when the internet became more out there for everyone to use, and more people started getting on there using it. Especially when you start getting into like internet shopping and stuff like that. That's when it all when usage exploded to a slightly more prevalent level. It wasn't quite as obscured, especially around the millennium. By then, almost most homes had a computer in the house. If I'm not mistaken, but this is not the point I'm trying to drive at. The point is that computers were not as commonplace at once upon a time, and the older generation has never really had a chance to learn how to use one. Fast forward a little bit later to the last few years. I mean, that same group of people that never used one, or don't trust them, or didn't want to learn them, especially the group that didn't want to learn computers, or didn't trust them, now find themselves in a awkward position, because without the internet, without a computer, you can't put in job applications anymore, because the world has changed. This is not like the 19 whatever, where you just grab a paper application, fill it out, and then keep calling until you get an interview straight in front of the person. You'll probably be sitting across the desk from them talking about this, and then you probably get the job or not. These days, it's not so straightforward anymore. You've got applications have been given away to online applications. Some of the face-to-face interviews have given away to like video chat interviews. Not all. And then now you got the AI situation coming into play, where now AI is making a decision whether you are hired or not. Pretty soon we'll have to worry about AI taking the place of the human resources director or human resources personnel. They could be AI could be doing that. But the point of what I'm trying to drive at is that all the while people are sitting here refusing to want to change, they want to stick to that time period. Like people that want to stick to the 70s, great period, oh great, We don't need any computers. Because they want to stay in that time period, they refuse to learn computers. They're struggling now. They're trying to get even a job. They're struggled because those that refuse to learn now have no option but to learn and adapt and change. You can The point of the whole rhetoric is you cannot be seriously. I mean, you can have fond memories of an earlier time period, but you must roll forward with the times. You cannot sit here and cling to an earlier time period and not keep expecting to stay in a stasis where that what was is going to always be that. We do not live. It's like people. We don't live in the 60s, 70s, 80s anymore, or the 90s. We are almost half a decade forward in time here. You cannot sit here and expect things to stay as it was then. That's ludicrous. It's all good and great that you have your memories, but you got to learn that you must march forward with time, or time is going to leave you behind. That's the whole premise of this whole video. You must march forward and adapt. Be adaptable. Learn new skills. Be willing to not be afraid of try new technologies, or new things, and keep an open mind, because the more you try to stay in that stasis, like a mummified corpse, the more you're going to be more forgotten. The world is going to move right past you, right on by, to the next person who has the skills to adapt, change, and move forward. And that's the biggest headache that I have. That's one of the problems that we have in our world today, is too many people want to be stuck in an earlier time period and refuse to budge forward and keep with the changing times. They just don't want to do it. And look at a lot of the people. I can admit my own self. I grew up a lot during the 80s, but I learned how to to try out new things. I bought a really antique computer by that standard. By the time the mid 90s rolled around, I bought an older computer and started learning how to work it. And then whenever the internet rolled around, I taught myself how to move forward with that, by reading new material, trying to see what's the latest standards, what's the latest things going on. That way I can adapt, change, and move forward. But even as someone like me, there are some I will admit, one thing I will say in the defense of someone that's my age and older, there's going to be some task, technologies, or something that we're going to struggle with, because, like I said, some of these things we didn't never grow up with. My beef is those who refuse to adapt and change and move forward. Learn, adapt, change, move forward. Learn, adapt, change, move forward. Keep your eyes always on what's the changing, um, what's the latest thing going on, what's changing. I mean, you think that, oh, hey, it doesn't affect me, but it's nothing to do with me. I bet you people way back in the 70s would sit there and say, well, it doesn't affect me, it has nothing to do with me. Now a lot of them are just like, they can't even figure out how to even put an online application. They have to have someone to help them do it. But the whole point, just to keep in mind, we're also having a problem with adapting um, with like changes in our culture. That's another thing. Something that we didn't find acceptable then is now considered more acceptable now. I mean, it's just like for those who are from the 60s and 70s. I mean, it was considered a shock. I bet you, if I remember my reading right, laying all bare, and wearing a really revealing bikini was considered a little more than what most conservative folks would have appreciated at this time period. But you go now, I mean, you go a little bit forward, it became more and more acceptable. So that's the thing. What I'm saying is it's changing culture. One point in time, something would be considered unthinkable would be acceptable and more accepting now. We just gotta learn. I mean, we don't have to follow through with that as our personal choices. Um, um, but still, we cannot sit here and also judge the younger folks for their choices, because seriously, I'm not going to say I'm a, I'm a little bit hypocritical, just a tad bit, because I don't like the modern music of the nowadays. It's just I just can't get into it. It's just me. But I am always constantly saying for the younger to my to the younger kids, especially my nieces and nephews. They're way older than me, way younger than me. I'm sorry, correction, way younger than me. They listen to that modern music that came out within the last 20 years. And I'm like, there's nothing to it for me. So yeah, there's that generation divide. I'm always a little hypercritical about the music in front of the kids. But still, point being is that I'm having to learn that this is the music that is acceptable for them. I'm going to be. I need to, like everybody else, like me, need to learn to be more forward thinking and think that that's part of the modern culture. I don't have to personally accept. I don't have to personally listen to it, but I need to be more accepting that this is what the kids listen to. More like the new thing with body piercings. When I always when I was growing up, body piercings wasn't really a big thing. Maybe you might hear people pierce their ears or their navel. I don't know about the navel part, but piercing the tongue, I don't think really existed when I was growing up. It just wasn't a prevalent thing. Now the younger kids are all doing it. They're getting piercings here, there, and everywhere, and I just like that's your choice. I will respect that. I respect your choice. It's not something I would do for myself. But still, I'm having to learn to accept that things have changed and are changing. Although I will have different personal preferences from them, I have to learn to accept that that's who they are. That's who they identify for. I cannot sit here and keep the mindset that this is because this is not how things are in my time period. This is how they should live. No, this is we're living in their we're living way I put it. We're living in their time period. It's kind of like I'm a guest in their time period, not mine. They wouldn't have been around for my time period to understand the viewpoints of that period. But I have to also look at their viewpoints and try to keep a forward-thinking approach for their sake, because I'm a guest in their time period. In a sense, if you want to view it in that kind of sense. So, I know this video is running a little longer than I expected, but I'm just trying to get the point across. We all of the older generation are quite guilty of a lot of this. A lot of these little sins. And I think we need to learn to stop thinking of how things are in our time period and try to crystallize everything of the modern period into how we grew up, and that's not going to work. So we also need to learn to be adaptable, learn to stop being so afraid of everything, be courageous to try new things, because technology is going to change in the blink of an eye, and if we aren't ready to adapt and change with it, we're going to be finding ourselves fossilized before you know it, and also paralyzed because we're unable to do anything because we don't have the skill set to adapt ourselves to that new technology. And that's the sad paradox. And it's easily preventable. Also, like I said in the whole video, keep an open mind. Always remember, what you find unacceptable in your time period, you can apply that same mindset in this time period. We're no longer our time has already came and gone. it's the younger generation that's growing up. We have to respect their the way they want things done. Even though even though there's going to be culture clashes, but still, we cannot sit here and just deny everything that they're doing and just say that. I mean, you get the point. Still, we all will not make the same choices in life. That's obvious. But we cannot. I mean, rules. Another thing. The rules and way of there's another thing that I want to add this in. We cannot base our opinions, thoughts, and everything from that from way on when into the 21st century. Won't work. I mean, this is the thing that I got to point out. Things that it goes back to what I was saying earlier in the earlier video. Things that we find acceptable, maybe, and not really acceptable or considered antiquated. Our views and opinions are the same way. We need to learn to be able to adapt them as well. I mean, let's say, for example, there would be a lot of medicine that was filled with nothing but mercury. At that time period, it was considered acceptable because it killed germs. It was a great antiseptic, but few people wasn't aware that it's also very toxic and poisonous. It took several years before people figured that out, and then after people figured out that that was poisonous, that they finally decide to stop using it. So that's the same thing here. Information from, let's say, the 60s, 70s, 80s, maybe way out of date for the time period. What was considered acceptable then may not be now, or could be antiquated. What would be unacceptable then could be acceptable now. We got that's another thing I want to drive home. Information, culture, way of doing, everything is not in a stasis, people. It change. And we got to be ready to change with it. Roll with the changes. As excuse me. And the sad thing is many choose not to. I'm sorry, but it's sad, but many choose not to. But anyhow, I'm just making a point for everyone to just take back. I just want you to take this from this video. Sit back and think about it. How many times have we refused to adapt our thinking to the fit of what's going on now? How many times have we said we won't do this, that, and another, and come to find out you have no choice, or you gotta ask yourself, is it worth it? Worth holding on to this static idea that everything has to be this way right now, all the time, throughout my whole lifetime? Is it worth doing that? Is it worth continuing doing that thinking and end up being left in the dust? Or are you going to learn to move forward, adapt yourself to the new things, and survive what could be lurking around the next corner? Because the next thing could happen, could knock you out of work, knock you out of place permanently, and you may be stuck having to try something different. After all, keep your eyes open and always be looking out for whatever the next big thing could be, because that next big thing could be what's become commonplace in your home maybe years later. So anyhow, food for thought. I just wanted to try to get you to get your brain cooking there, and I mean literally get it moving, where you're actually thinking about all this stuff. And really, I hope we have more discussions about like situations like this, because it needs to be happening across this country. The generations need to get together and start try to understand each other for the moment in time that they are in or was in. But they shouldn't be. Everybody shouldn't live in a complete vacuum. So anyhow, this video is running long enough, and I will take my bow for this time, and this is the Critical Missourian. I'll see you on the next video.